Nick Trigili is a promising super heavyweight bodybuilder who has placed 6th in the Junior Nationals and 2nd in the Atlantic States. He now wants to fulfill that promise, and he's come here to Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym on Long Island to learn from the 2-time Arnold Classic champion and Mr. Olympia contender. They begin, as Kai always begins, by preparing their minds for the formidable task ahead. For those of you who want to get right to the workout, I suggest you skip to the 5-minute mark. But if you're like me and understand that the state of one's thoughts is a prerequisite for success, I think you may find a few nuggets of bodybuilding wisdom as they warm up on the Stairmaster. The newly reformulated Noble XMT now utilizes a full clinical dose of peak ATP. New improved Noble XMT enables you to work harder, work longer, and increase time under tension to enable new muscle growth and increased strength. In fact, Noble XMT may actually be the first muscle-building pre-workout. And don't forget, Noble XMT gives you everything else you want from your pre-workout formula: intense focus, energy, muscle power, and amazing pumps. Noble XMT, the first muscle-building pre-workout.
All right. We're gonna get warmed up first.
You always do cardio before legs?
This isn't cardio.
This is a
No, this is a warm-up. Cardio and a warm-up, I think, are two different things. That's my own philosophical overview on that. Warm-ups are good because what they do is they allow a person a minute or an opportunity to check in with himself. You know, so this is a good place to start to find your own internal dialogue. Hey, how am I doing? Where am I at? What am I about to do? What is important to me? Why am I here? So what this is, this warm-up is an opportunity to do that, particularly when you're about to go train like something like legs. Also for me, I use this as an opportunity to start checking in, you know, with some of the muscles that I'm going to be working, like my glutes and my hamstring. You know, when I step on the Stairmaster, I'm not stepping on the ball of my foot, allowing haphazardly anything to contract. No, I'm deliberate. I put my heels, I drill my heels into the platform underneath my feet. What happens is each time, with each footfall, I'm able to flex and contract my hamstring and my glute, my hamstring and my glute, my hamstring and my glute. In my mind, I start to think about a rhythmic bicep shot and what it looks like when one leg is forward, one leg is back, contractions on my hamstring and my glute, and a rhythmic bicep shot from the waist down. Everything you do in this gym has to have a purpose. If you're a competitive bodybuilder getting ready to get on stage, you're a lot clearer about that purpose being 8 poses, you know? To the average thinking person that's not considering all of those things that I just mentioned to you, this would be cardio, you know? But now, because I've shared this with you, for you now, going forward, this will never just be cardio, you see? All right.
Were you always like a deep thinker with everything? Was that always, is this the Kai like we see now? Was that you when you were 18? Go up to summit?
I think so. I think.
Or did you have somebody you looked up to though?
Have everybody to look up to. Everybody to look up to. You know, there's lessons to be learned from everything, every experience in your life, every experience, you know, every person can be a teacher. But all the great bodybuilders behind the scenes were incredible thinkers. They have to be. When you look at that body, that body is the manifestation of a lot of work. Many hours and hours and hours of thought.
Right.
You know, focused concentration towards that end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even the bodybuilder that identifies himself as a bodybuilder, that probably doesn't identify himself, at least to himself quietly, as being a very deep thinking person.
Right.
The reality is, in order to do this thing well, chances are you would have to be a very thoughtful and insightful person. You know, whether or not you give yourself credit and acknowledge that or not is up to you. You know, But just because you don't acknowledge it, or it's harder for you to see it that way, doesn't mean that it isn't true. You know?
I've been self-motivated since I was 17 to do this. I never had somebody there in the gym. Nick, this is how you curl. No, Nick, this is how you do push downs. No, Nick, this is how you bench. Everything I've learned was just from me reading, me watching videos, me picking up myself. I never had somebody that, like a mentor to sit here and, you know, this is the proper way of doing things.
See the corner here? Flex your hamstrings and finish it up to your glute. Relax. Take your hamstrings, finish the contraction up to your glute. Yes? So now, from there, locked. Chest up. Down to the bottom of the movement. In order to get from here to here, it's flexion on my glutes, flexion on my hamstrings. Stretch, squeeze, up to the top. Bang. Yes? Down to the bottom. You're going to be tempted to want to do this. You don't do that. You lock your pelvis forward and you flex your glutes. So by you try to keep your pelvis underneath your chest. Drive up to the top. Squeeze. Finish it here. Good. Chest up, head up. 5. 5. Here. Flex this. 6. Flex. 7. Flex. Let's go. 8. Let's go. 9. All of this hard. Let's go. 10. Let's go. 11. 12. Okay, good. All right. Now you're ready to get started. Come up and squeeze. 2. Flex like you're on stage. 3. Like you're on the Stairmaster. 4. 5. Pelvis forward. 10. This movement will talk to everything. Hamstring, quads, the outer part of your quads, the inner part of your quad, your lower back. Your body is your instrument. Use your tools.
Every movement he does, even if it's positioning his feet, it's you know, it's deeper than just positioning your feet. You know, he thinks every aspect of what he's doing. You know.
Six. Now is when you work. 7. Squeeze them harder. 8. Don't worry about the next rep. 7. 8. 9. 10. Do this one. 9. Harder. Can you squeeze harder? 10. Good. All right, we're gonna move on. As a bodybuilder, as an athlete that gets on stage and uses muscle contraction to display his physique. Doesn't matter whether you're on stage or in the gym training, you still are doing the same basic fundamental things when you're training in the gym that you're doing when you're on stage to display the muscle. Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right. Okay, see what you're doing? That elbow's bent. You know why? Because you're looking for mechanical advantage. As a bodybuilder, you're not a powerlifter.
Right.
Mechanical advantage is what a powerlifter needs. You don't need that. You want your muscles to work. That's how you make them break down and grow. Them elbows. What's up with them elbows? There you go. 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Six, 7, 8. Make it clean. Come on. Come on. 15. Come on. Let's make it clean. This is the warm-up. Let's get it. 1, 2. Come on. 3.
Kai gets a bit frustrated when he begins to feel that Nick is still not focusing as well as he should be.
You ever get to a place where when you're fighting, it's just you and your opponent?
Right.
Okay, I want you to go there with me right now. So I want you to outdo me, or at least do exactly the way I do it.
Right.
Yeah? So step over here so you can watch me. That padding is not gonna move because I have flexion on my hamstring. I control that. I finish the contraction all the way up at the top, right up in my glute. I flex my hamstring to bring it down. Squeeze. 3, 4, 5. Big range of motion. 6. All right. Let's get it. 6. Hamstring. Finish to the glute. 8, 9, come on, 10. Come on now, let's get these reps now. Come on, come on, come on, come on. 10, 11, 12, 13. Your mind has to be on what your goals are, where you're trying to go. With every rep, every moment, every second that you're doing this, that's where you have to go. 11, higher, 12, and that's what makes this stuff easier. When I just said, okay, this is the warm-up, the person that's thinking on the average plane of average thought would think, oh, that's the warm-up. Thinking about how you feel right now. What is the, are you kidding me? This doesn't make any sense. Yeah. That thinking will lead you the wrong direction. It'll
Multidisciplinary approach to bodybuilding. After the warm-up, while helping Nick master the deadlift, he once again sets Nick's mindset by drawing a parallel between bodybuilding and dance. Kai knows that the only boundaries are the ones we place there ourselves.
A lot of lower back there. But if you're comfortable there, cool. See, as I bend over, I'm already able to either flex my hamstring or try to flex my glute. Here. piano wire is what I'm looking for. That's the feedback I'm looking for. Basically what's happening is I'm almost trying to pull my feet apart. I'm trying to open my feet out like this. But they can't because I'm digging the soles of my feet into the ground. Does that make any sense? While at the same time trying to come up. Almost like doing a dance class and trying to roll my way up. Seriously, it sounds funny, but okay. What dancers, martial artists, bodybuilders, wrestlers all have in common is movement. Anything that moves is muscle. You know? We're using these muscles. Human physiology hasn't changed in the last 2,000 years. So whether you're a martial artist, a big brooding guy, or a dancer, you know, you're using muscles to move. Right. And because human physiology is the same, you know, maybe in bodybuilding, we may call it a squat. In a ballerina may call it a plie or something like that, right. You know. But a lot of the positioning and poses is all the same. You must be an excellent deadlifter. Your lower back is so thick, and I can see when you're moving, your mechanics are so deadlift. You're breaking your knee. You're breaking your knee. Those mechanics will serve you well for deadlifting. Yeah. What you're doing is awesome, and it's obvious that that's how you've been able to develop the thickly muscled physique that you have. You'll be able to go forward and continue to, you know, you have a lot of potential. What I'm trying to show you is a little bit different. In fact, it's a lot different. Right. But if you're more comfortable to do it that way, be advised though that everything that we just did will not be spoken to as well as it could be. Right. All of that stuff was a prelude to this, you know what I mean? Going forward when we squat, going forward when we leg curl, going forward when we do those other things, they will build off of the foundation that we've been working on with these few movements that we've been doing now. There's a contraction occurring right here that's clean. I can feel that. I can feel it with my fingertips. I can feel it inside of my body. I can feel that. This here, and that's what I want. I want to get that contraction there. Believe it or not, that's what we're looking for when you're doing the adductor movement. Normally, I'll superset that with this. You know, so while I'm doing this movement, I'm still trying to do that while the ground is not allowing my feet to move out.
The deadlift is traditionally an exercise for legs and back. But what Kai is doing is a super isolation of the movement. Because this is supposed to be a leg workout, he is refusing to allow the back to do much of the work, which brings the legs into play much more than most people are used to. Even an advanced bodybuilder like Nick is struggling to adjust to this laser pointer method of training.
I love that set, man. Your concentration looks intense. You look like you are really, really masterfully working to do something. Yeah. I like that. That looks great. Looks great. All right, we're gonna keep moving.
I do a lot of volume like he does, as far as reps, sets, exercises, but
hamstrings.
the angles he hit, it's just new muscle fibers that you never trained before. So it's just like, you're jumping in a car you never drove before, you don't know how to start it, it's getting in a foreign car, you don't know where the key is, where the gas pedal is, it's different.
Yes, sir. Hamstrings, young warrior. Let's get it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hamstrings. 7, 8. Come on. 9, 10. You're doing good, young warrior. We're almost finished. 2, hamstrings, hamstrings. 4, come on. 5, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good job. Catch my body weight. Now I'm flexing my glutes, my hamstrings, making it responsible for lowering my body down. As I come up, I'm just using this back leg to balance me a little bit, but I'm trying to concentrate on this. I'm not really thinking about this leg as much as I am thinking about my glute and my hamstring, which should be on fire now from everything that we just got finished doing. And I'm flexing it. To the bottom again. I stretch up to the top. Flex.
When done correctly, walking lunges can put less stress on the knees than either stationary lunges or squats. But by this time, after so many glute and hamstring exercises in a row, Nick's balance is in question.
Good. This is better than the first. This is better than the first. Okay, your body's waking up now. You're alive. You're alive. Let's get it. A lot of people do this movement and they're thinking about quads, 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 quads. The quads are going to work. That's the easy part with doing a squat or a lunge or anything. That's easy. To make your hamstrings and your glutes work, there might be a challenge. It means that you have to concentrate, connect. The only way to do that was how we did all those other movements to help build the mind and muscle connection a little bit, to become more aware of those areas. So now when we get to a movement like this, or a squat or a deadlift, we're a lot more likely to be able to have command over your hamstring and your glutes and not just easily fall to the obvious contracted quads. It'll also help your knees in the long run. It'll also help your lower back in the long run. Good job. Good job.
At this point, Nick is struggling to understand why he is having such a hard time. After all, he and Kai nearly weigh the same, and Nick is no stranger to a hard workout. And so he begins to question the order of things.
I usually start with hamstring. but I never thought of starting with actual supporting glutes primarily by itself. Usually I'll finish them off after I'm done with quads, but nothing to the extent that you took it.
I tell you what, when you go and you win the Arnold Classic, when someone asks you how, what were the tools you needed to have?
Right.
You know, you'll have to go into your mind and think about all what you've done.
Right.
For me, this has been a blueprint towards the achievement that I have now, to my credit. Now, I'm not saying I know everything. A lot of people have great quads, you know. A lot of people have, you know, good hamstrings. A lot of people have exceptional calves. You know, to try to put all that together and then have a certain area where you just dominate, you know, that stuff comes from a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of seasoning, you know, not just walking in off the street. Yeah, I'm gonna do 4 sets of squats, 3 sets of leg extensions, and 2 sets of leg curls. Okay, I'm done with legs. Let me go do some calves. All right, let me go see my girl by 12. No, that's not, you can't, you're not gonna be the elite of this game thinking like that, approaching this thing like that. So, you know, this is a meditative thing. It really is. You know, what I'm trying to talk to you about today is being able to go inside of yourself, you know, encourage that dialogue, you know, checking in, finding out what's going on, bringing your tools online, you know. There's a lot of thought required in order to be in touch with your champion, you know, and you have great potential, but what will determine whether or not you'll be able to use that potential and see it, you know, fully realized will be how well or how important it is to you. And once you decide that it's very important to you, the tools that you will use in order to do that would be some of the things that I'm trying to share with you today. 10, 11, 12, come on, 13, 14, come on, 15. Okay, this, believe it or not, is your quarter turn to the right. This is your side chest. This is your tricep from the knee down. That's this pose. That pose is this right here. When you stand there, flexion here, up, hamstring, glute, finished. That's it from the knee down. That's what this is, you know. Every time you do this movement, that's the time where you technically, as a bodybuilder that gets on stage and competes, as an athlete of this discipline, you're saying, okay, you know what? I am now addressing my side tricep from the knee down. I am addressing my side chest from the knee down.
Kai and Nick finish working calves with 2 more exercises, but there is still more to come. For most people, leg curls, leg extensions, and squats are a complete lower body workout. But for Kai Greene, it takes an hour of pre-exhaustion to prepare his body for this finale. As the morning turns into afternoon and we are not yet near the end, it is becoming clearer to me and certainly to Nick what being an elite bodybuilder really means. Next time, the conclusion of the leg training session.
Good job. You grab us some water and we'll get started.
I'm sure MuscleMed's newest sponsored athlete was initially very happy when he was told he would be training with Kai Greene for this video series. But now, after having spent the better part of the morning hammering his legs harder than he's ever done, Nick Trigili must be questioning his good fortune. Throughout the training, Kai has been relentlessly adjusting Nick's form and his thoughts. But exhaustion is clearly starting to wear him down. Even though this was just supposed to be a simple instructional training video, Nick has gotten more than he bargained for, as he is forced to confront the distance between being merely a successful bodybuilder and being one of the elite of the sport.
Come on. Come on.
After 3 hours, everyone is feeling a bit fatigued, including those of us shooting. Just when we were starting to think that Kai Greene was indestructible, he addresses his own limitations as we undertake the final leg of the mission.
Right about now, I am fighting with my concentration, wanting to break down and be like, throw you out the 2 fingers, I'm out. This has been very long. And I have to say this now because, I know you're probably thinking, oh, wow, this guy, damn, 3 hours? That's nonsense. I wouldn't train that long. The reality is, this is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. To try to explain, work through, and think about what you're saying, be deliberate about what you do, try to be mindful of trying to show the subtle nuances of little movements that for you come naturally automatic in what you would do. Right. So as I feel it coming on, I just wanted to kind of put that out there. It's the pink elephant in the room right now. For me to be comfortable here. All right. Stretch, squeeze, stretch, squeeze, stretch. 5. You can get more activation on your hamstring by taking your pelvis from here to here. This is what we were doing when we were on the Stairmaster, when we were doing the walking lunges. Everything that I was talking to you about earlier, that kickback. A lot of people call themselves working hamstrings, and they are, Their ass sits here, and they squeeze here. Right. That means there's no activation occurring here. Right. It's just in your hamstring. Right. Great. What I'm encouraging you to consider today is going from here when you do your hamstring to here. You see what I'm... It's a more intense contraction. That's just one of those things that one of those little things that work for me. So we'll just leave it at 3 movements for hamstrings. We'll do 3 movements for quads and we'll wrap it up. Excellent. Almost done.
You sorry? That's you personally?
Whether I'm, and that's, I guess that's one of the you asked me what changed, what you was changing the training. The way I think and how my thinking allows me to approach my eating, my training. What's changed more than my training is really just my mindset, largely because there's so much more at stake now. There has to be a certain kind of desperation. You know, you think if you're hungry, how do you think I feel? I've done 2 hours of cardio this morning, plus I've only had one meal. And we're doing this training session. Once we get finished, I won't be able to go and eat cake or some kind of high calorie, dense, crap. I still gotta go and eat fish, cashews, avocado, At the end of the day, I'm not trying to complain as much as what I'm trying to put in your mind is that there's a certain kind of desperation that you're going to need to have, period, that will make you the athlete that will be capable of tapping into your champion.
Right.
Without a certain kind of desperation, and it's true, people can argue or whatever, okay, whatever, but a real athlete knows what time it is, when the cameras are off and the lights are off and, they're alone by themselves, There's a certain kind of desperation that needs to be in order to be one with your passion as you need to be in order to overcome obstacles or barriers that would otherwise, stop you. If you can consider certain things as an option, then chances are, and with that, you probably never ever get a chance to really see what your best is, yeah. All right.
Honestly, I can train a lot harder than I thought I could. I thought I was training hard back at home, but he pushed me to another level, which I didn't think I could get to, and actually handle it. I used to kind of like put my cutoff switch on when I was at home by myself. I'd be like, no, I don't want to overtrain. I don't want to overtrain. You always have that red button. You know what I mean? But no, I could definitely push myself a lot harder than I thought I could. When you speak to somebody who's outside the box, it definitely makes a big difference.
Come on, last one. Almost home, almost home. Let's get it. One, come on. Two, come on. Three, come on. 6, come on. Come on. Come on, let's go. Let's go. 14, let's go. Let's go. 15, good. Open it. All right. Good job. Good job. Good job. Excellent. Normally we would do like some leg presses right now and front squats and some hacks, but it's almost 4 o'clock. I don't think we're gonna get to that one today. Yeah, I think we're gonna call this one done. We'll call it done.